No one ever stayed. That was the unspoken rule inside the glass and marble mansion perched on the hill like a lonely castle. Not the nannies with Ivy League childcare degrees. Not the soft-spoken governess from London. Not even the strict former army caregiver who promised discipline and order. They all left, some in tears, some in anger, some without saying a word. Because of the 5 girls. And because of the man who owned the house. Ethan Caldwell was worth more money than most people could imagine. At 42, he was a self-made millionaire who had built a tech empire from nothing. His name appeared in magazines. His face smiled from business covers. His life to the outside world looked flawless. But inside the mansion, 5 daughters, 5 broken hearts, 1 grieving father. After his wife, Lena, died in a car accident 6 years earlier, Ethan's world collapsed. She had been the warmth, the softness, the glue that held the family together. After she was gone, Ethan buried himself in work. And his daughters noticed. There was Emily, 15, sharp-tongued and defensive, who believed caring only led to loss. Sophie, 13, silent and observant, who hid her pain behind books. Lily, 10, emotional and explosive, whose tantrums were really cries for attention. Grace, 8, withdrawn and anxious, afraid of everyone leaving. And Mia, 5, the youngest, who barely remembered her mother but felt the absence deeply. They pushed everyone away. Nannies didn't stand a chance. One quit after Emily locked her out on the balcony. Another after Lily dumped paint on her laptop. One left crying when Grace screamed that she wasn't her real family. The last nanny walked out after Mia whispered, "If you love us, you'll leave too." That one hurt the most. Ethan stood in the grand living room, staring at the resignation letter in his hand. "Sir," the house manager said carefully, "we may need to pause the search." Ethan's jaw tightened. "My daughters need someone." "They need you," the man said softly. Ethan didn't respond. He never did. A week later, the mansion hired a new janitor. His name was Daniel Reyes. He was 35, quiet, and wore worn-out shoes that had seen better days. His uniform was slightly faded, his hands rough with years of hard work. No one knew much about him. Only that he worked nights cleaning office buildings and took this daytime job to make ends meet. What no one knew, except Daniel, was that he was a single father too. His wife had died from illness 3 years earlier, leaving him alone with a 6-year-old son named Lucas. Daniel knew grief. He knew exhaustion. He knew how silence could be louder than shouting. On his first day, Daniel kept his head down, mopping hallways, wiping fingerprints from glass, fixing small things no one noticed, until he heard crying. Broken. Came from the sunroom. Daniel hesitated. He wasn't hired for this. But the sound pulled him in. Inside he saw Mia, curled up under a table, hugging a stuffed rabbit, tears soaking its ears. Daniel crouched slowly, keeping his distance. "Hey," he said gently. "That rabbit looks brave. What's his name?" Mia sniffed. "Oliver." "Oliver's a good name," Daniel smiled. "My son has a dinosaur named Pickles." Mia blinked. "That's silly." Daniel nodded seriously. "Very silly. Pickles is a fierce protector." For the first time in weeks, Mia smiled. Emily noticed next. She saw the janitor calmly helping Lily clean spilled juice without scolding. She watched him actually listen, when Sophie corrected him about a book title. And Grace followed him around silently like a shadow. No one reported him. No one complained. Which was unusual. Daniel never tried to parent the girls. He never raised his voice. Never forced rules. Never acted like he was staying. He just showed up. When Lily exploded, Daniel handed her paper and crayons. When Sophie hid, he left books nearby without asking questions. When Emily tested him with sarcasm, he answered with calm honesty. One afternoon, Grace finally spoke. "Why aren't you scared of us?" Daniel paused, then said, "Because hurt people aren't scary. They're just hurting." Grace's eyes filled with tears. That night, for the first time in years, all 5 girls sat at the same table for dinner. Ethan noticed. He noticed more things too. The house was quieter but warmer. The girls laughed sometimes. They argued less. And Daniel stayed. One evening, Ethan overheard shouting. Emily was screaming. "You're just like the rest. You'll leave too." Daniel stood there, calm but firm. "I might leave this job one day," he said gently. "But caring about you, that doesn't end." Emily broke. She collapsed into sobs, fists pounding his chest. Daniel didn't pull away. Ethan watched from the hallway, frozen. That night, Ethan knocked on the janitor's door. "Why are you doing this?" Ethan asked. "I didn't hire you to raise my children." Daniel met his eyes. "I know. But they needed someone." "So do I," Ethan admitted quietly. Daniel didn't judge him. That was the moment Ethan realized something painful. The janitor was doing what money never could. Weeks turned into months. Daniel was no longer the janitor. He was Daniel. The girls waited for him every morning. They made drawings for him. Mia slept better knowing he was in the house. When Lucas visited, the girls welcomed him like a brother. And Ethan changed too. He came home earlier. He sat through homework. He learned to listen. One night during a storm the power went out. The girls panicked. Daniel gathered them all in the living room, lighting candles. "Storms don't last forever," he said. "But we can sit together until they pass." Emily reached for Ethan's hand. He didn't let go. Months later, Ethan offered Daniel a new position. Live-in caretaker. Full benefits. A salary higher than Daniel had ever imagined. Daniel hesitated. "I don't want this to be about money," he said. Ethan swallowed. "It's about family." Daniel accepted, not because of the paycheck but because of the girls. On the day he signed the contract, Mia hugged him tightly. "You're not leaving," she said. Daniel smiled. "No, I'm home." Epilogue, love that stayed. A year later, the mansion was no longer silent. It echoed with laughter, arguments, music, and healing. 5 daughters who learned to trust again. A father who learned to be present. And a janitor who became the heart of a family. No nanny ever lasted a day. Because what they needed was never a nanny at all. They needed someone who knew what it meant to stay.